So I'm going to quickly go over how my mother brainwashed me at the doctor's and why it really messed me up. Because I used to just repeat what my mother told me to repeat. When she said jump, I was supposed to jump. If I didn't go along with her stories, then I was punished. If I did what she told me, if I did what I was asked at the doctor's, was basically just go along with her, whatever she was doing at the moment. Sometimes it was falsely reporting side effects. Sometimes it was trying to get me to repeat that I'm schizophrenic and hearing voices even though I'm not. Sometimes it's just talking bad about me and I'm supposed to sit there. Sometimes it's trying to convince me that I should be failing these, bad news is good news. It was what she was going with. And I'm going to try to explain how this worked. So, a good example is the reward system. Beforehand, she would tell me a bunch of things to say. She would give me a whole list of things to repeat or say, even if I disagreed with it. If I told her, well, that's not true. Yes, it is. You just say what I tell you to say, would be what she responded with. Now, if I did that and the doctor said I was mental or I might have bipolar or it must be a problem with my biological mother or no matter what it was, if she was able to establish something, I got rewarded. If I did good at the doctor, if the doctor started to catch on to my neurological disorder, or if I spoke up what I always did about the OD and that caused something to go on with my body, I would not get rewarded, as well as I would get screamed at in the car on the way home. Screamed at, sometimes even smacked. Now, if I got bad news at the doctor, I was rewarded, as well as she would use these expensive dinners as a reward as well. She would bring me to these expensive dinners and tell me how I got to take all these meds for the rest of my life, even though the meds are changing, even though I'm reporting horrible side effects of these medications, even though she hasn't given me any reason why I have to take these for life, or that I could get better, or the fact that I, improve when I have less meds and I get worse with more meds. None of this seems to matter. None of it. Not that I'm having side effects. No, don't blame the meds, just take them, was her attitude. Even if I looked fucked up, there was only one med where I looked fucked up, which she had taken away. Well, it was a good thing. That was lithium. That's another med I was on. I've been on lithium, Thorazine, Seroquel, Lamictal, Remeron, Risperidone. I could go on and on. I mean, there's so many. But see, the problem with it's not the Thorazine, it's the lithium, was no different than the problem with the rest of the meds. She called it a zombie effect. Well, yes, you were giving me Seroquel, you were giving me Lamictal, you were giving me Thorazine, you were giving me Trazodone, you were giving me Adderall, and you were giving me Xanax, all at the same time. Of course I'm going to be a zombie. Of course I'm going to be brain dead and not be able to function. Just because you took the Thorazine, just because you took the lithium away, does not mean I got any better. I even had white blood count issues. I had a lot of health issues from these medications, and at no point did they want to report these side effects with the doctor, only with the lithium. That's the only medication that was reported. That's not a great list when you're only focusing out of my whole entire life, out of the 100 medications that I've been prescribed and forced to take, all different over the counter to prescription to ones that I'm not prescribed that my mother's just handing me or whatever. Out of all those, there was only one medication that she had taken away. And I was very surprised when they did this. I said, I thought you wanted me to be a zombie. It's very clear that you want me to be fucked up and you want me to be a zombie. So why did you take this one med away? Why not try to actually, you're not seeing any improvement. These medications aren't having any improvement. I improve when you take the medication away. The only thing that doesn't improve is I get hyper. I get a lot of energy and I'm able to move better. Well, that's a good thing. Being able to move your body and being able to get more done during the day, that doesn't sound like a bad thing to me. And it's not like when I'm hyper, I get less control of my impulses. No, that has nothing to do with it. When you drug me and make me sedated, I actually have less control over my impulses because I'm not able to think. It takes away my brain. So now I have no nervous system and no brain. If you drug me, bad things will happen to me. If you take the drugs away, good things happen to me. The only bad thing that will happen to me if you took all the drugs away, or if they did, or whoever you want to talk to, the pharmaceutical companies, the doctors, the only thing that would have happened to me is I would have became more hyper and had trouble concentrating. But I would have learned coping skills to control this just like I do today. I have 3 different modes. Normal speed, get stuff done at a hype, like just a little bit extra, think fast on your feet. And then I have ramped up speed. I can control which speed I want. I can pull it back to a normal speed if I need to, or I can just let myself loose and I can get a whole day's work of work done. What takes normally people 1 day to do, I can get done in an hour. I also multitask if I have a list. If I write down a list, I can multitask. My hyperactivity is a gift, especially when I get locked out of my body. When you're locked out of your body, and you're stuck for 3 hours without able to move, like in the mornings when I can't move my body and I'm having trouble walking, it's really good to be able to make up time and double time yourself. I do it when I'm in the hospital too. When I have a seizure or get seriously injured and I'm out of work for 2 months and my bills pile up, I need to double time it when I go back to work. So it's a good thing to be hyper and be able to get a lot done. I can clean my house, clean the outside, go to work multiple hours, go to my doctor, do all that, and still have energy left over. And that's not a bad thing for somebody in my situation. If you're stuck, not able to move, or you're stuck in the hospital for long periods of time, you need to get a lot done. You're going to need a lot of energy. And that's something that I get when I don't take medications. Now, I do got to admit that Ritalin and anxiety medications help me a little. The Xanax and that benzo family of medications helped me with my nervous system because it's a seizure medication, as well as it helped me stay calm when people were doing awful things to me. I mean, like these kids, you don't even want to know. These kids were like all mental in the head. They're sexually active. They're stealing things. They're breaking things. They're just doing awful things. I mean, some of them are even trying to break a safe over their roommate's head. I remember that. They picked up a safe and tried to smash the other kid in the head because the kid tried to break into the safe, so they decided to smash his head in. Luckily, this time it wasn't me, and I had nothing to do with it. But this is the type of problems, and there's no doors. Any kid can just walk into your room, hit you in the face, and walk out. There is very little consequences other than they don't get to go to McDonald's during the week. They have to stay in their room more, and they have to go to McDonald's. So you can literally assault somebody, steal from somebody. Also, if nobody catches you, there's no consequences because of the staff have to see it. So this stuff went on for years. But keep it in mind that my hyperactivity is a gift, and I don't go down. I don't get depressed or down unless you give me drugs. That's something I had to spend years figuring it out. As a kid, all the drugs being put into my body, I never got to learn what my body was like. The pills make me down, then I'm feeling suicidal, then I'm up, then I'm feeling drowsy, then I got a hangover from the pills, then I wake up, in the morning feeling really slow, then for 10 hours I'm slow, I can't think straight, my body doesn't want to work or function properly, then my mother wants to introduce drugs that she's not supposed to be giving me. There's all this weird behaviors. My mother's twisting my mind. She's trying to brainwash me to get Social Security. All this stuff was screwing me up. So I didn't get to learn what my body was like. But now I've spent 10 years getting to know my body. And what's very interesting is as long as I don't take downers, I don't get down. If I take downers, pills that are considered downers, like Seroquel, Thorazine, Trazodone, Lamictal even does a down effect. Remeron can make you down and depressed. Not Remeron, sorry, Risperidone. Risperidone can cause depression and problems as well. A lot of these medications I was taking can cause depression, sedative effects, headaches. I was getting all these things, as well as nausea and increase of appetite. One pill would kill my appetite, and then another pill would give me an appetite. So I would eat everything at once, and then I would have no appetite for the rest of the day or rest of the morning or whatever. As well as I'm being forced to eat poisonous food that gives me food poisoning that obviously is rotten. The eggs, the meat, and the milk was obviously rotten. The milk was chunky because the fridge broke down. I'm being forced to eat these things. Then I try to eat a mushroom outside, and I'm given extra Ipecac, not a regular dose, not trying to help me. No, this is extra as a punishment. My mother was giving me extra drugs as a punishment. So these things fucked me up as a child. But now I've spent 10 years getting to know my body. I've gone off of all drugs, including recreational drugs, to try to learn what's really going on with me. And I've been able to figure out, oh, I'm wicked hyper all the time. I don't get depressed anymore. I don't get suicidal anymore. Actually, all I want to do is live. I don't want to get tortured by society, though. I do not want to die in the woods or on the side of the road having seizures. I do not want to be in a wheelchair. I do not want to be paralyzed. And I need to be able to continue to explain myself. So those are the things I want. And if I can't have those things, if I'm forced to be paralyzed in the woods someplace, crawling around on my hands and knees without being able to dial a phone or ask for help, I'm not going to want to live in that situation. But I don't feel suicidal or depressed. I don't get up and down. I'm not bipolar. All these things were done to me. It was purposely done so that they could establish a Social Security case. And this is done with hundreds of other kids in America. These adopted parents or these foster parents want some financial security. They want some financial assistance. So they see an opportunity by bringing their child to a psych doctor. Then they get medications. And instead of taking the kid off the medications when they get side effects, like a medication has a side effect depression, then their kid gets depressed right after taking the medication. Well, instead of telling the doctor, hey, this medication, all of a sudden my kid is getting depressed. What's this about? Maybe we should cut him off the medication because as soon as I give him the pill, he gets tired and depressed. Instead of trying to have a discussion with the doctor and the child about the medication, these parents go in and they just say, my child's had depression their whole life. I want more pills for my child. Then they cause more effects, as well as you got to pay attention to your kid's behavior when he's on medication. And I mean like depression, headaches, his health behavior. What's happening with his health? And that just doesn't happen. I mean, how do you watch your kid's health if he's not living with you? And you're not really making phone calls. You're not checking up on him. If you're on a month cruise, then you have no clue what's happening with your child. Especially if you're leaving people not qualified, not health professionals, in charge of your child. So of course I went through this. Of course this is real. It's something I'll have to deal with for the rest of my life, even though that's been cut short. So I won't have to deal with it for much longer. I mean, there's no way I live to 40 as it is now. If I get proper medical care, if I get proper treatment, yes, I could probably live till 50 if I'm lucky. But as it is, there's no way I'm making 40. I'm not even sure if I'm going to live to see the next year. I mean, if I lose my apartment, probably not. Honestly, this will probably be my last year on planet Earth if I lose my heat. Heat is an important, life-saving good for me. You're not allowed to make fires to stay warm anymore either. Back in the 1920s, if you were outside freezing to death, or if you're having a seizure like me, or you can't move because your seizure activity is so severe, you would stay warm next to a fire. But that's illegal now. You can't make fires to stay warm. You used to see those videos about people making a trash can fire and rubbing their hands together to stay warm in New York City or in these big cities. They get a big trash can and make a fire in it to stay warm. That's illegal now. You can't make a trash can fire anymore to stay warm. You can't make a fire in the woods to stay warm. You're just not allowed. Maybe if you're camping and you got a permit and you have children, they'll let you do whatever you want because you have money and you're vacationing. But if you look homeless and you're just making a campfire to stay warm, no. You will be arrested eventually. They might give you a break, but it is against the law and you will be arrested. They will plow everything down. This is a big problem for me. If I don't have an apartment or a place to get warm, then my health declines quickly. I have seizures and I lose pieces of myself I'll never get back. I lose the ability to walk and I never walk the same again. I lose the ability to talk and I can never talk the same again. I lose part of my brain from the head injuries and the concussions. I never can think as well as I did before. These are permanent problems and they're going to be happening to me every day if I don't have my apartment. That's why I'm going back to work. That's why I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. But that does not mean that I'm still not going to be hurt or killed. And I mean killed, I mean literally. Somebody did this to me. This isn't from any choices I made. This has been going on for 25 fucking years. This is fucked up shit too. This is crazy shit. My mother was completely crazy to do this stuff to me. When I talk about this, it's hard because this is crazy, traumatic shit that was done to me. And I made bad choices myself. I became an alcoholic and a drug addict. I've stolen a couple things in my life. But that's as far as it really goes. I'm not anything else other than caring, loving. I try to help society forward. I'm very giving. I'm willing to give up my own stuff to help other people. But now I have a rule. I only give out what I don't need. If I have something I don't need and somebody else needs it, I'll give it to them. If it's a want, like I have something like maybe I just wanted a long time ago and I got it for free, maybe it was a gift or something, and then I don't need it anymore. Like let's say I'm moving to a new apartment but I have no truck to drive me and somebody else needed a big table. Then they can have my table. I can't bring the table with me. You need a table. I can't bring it. It's yours. Or when somebody drops off a bunch of food pantry food with nuts and things I can't eat and they drop it off at work, so there's no use of bringing it home. We can't eat it. So what do? I give it out. It's not something I need, so I'll give it to the people who do need it. And that's not even how bad it got. I mean, that's how I do it now. But as of 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I would give up quite a bit. I would give up a small percentage of my money. I would give up my home to let other people in. I learned the lesson with that one about 14 years ago. I had an apartment in Lynn, and I just came off the streets from having seizures and getting hurt all the time, and nobody would really kind of give me a home to stay in. So I saw these people freezing to death, and it's this walkway outside of the building where there was snow. They literally were sleeping on a snowy step, trying to keep warm with a blanket, freezing to death. It was snowing. It was like maybe 10 degrees. So I told them, why don't you come in? And there was also people sleeping in the hallway. Once when they heard I let these two people in, this couple, other people tried to come in. Before I knew it, my living room was turned into a shelter. I had 5 people sleeping in my living room while I had a lock on my door and my bedroom was mine. So my bedroom was the office for this shelter and my living room became a shelter. And that's basically what I ran. I ran my own private shelter and I had rules. So there wouldn't be any drugs in the house and so there wouldn't be any fights in the house because there was no fighting allowed. I'm anti-conflict. I made that very clear. There is no fighting in my house. Doesn't mean that people didn't still do it, but it got handled. That was a bad idea because then I lose my apartment. So the decisions I make to care about other people, I have to make sure that there's no consequences I have to pay. I can only give up something that does not affect me. I can give up my time. I can give up stuff that I no longer need as a necessity. I can give up some time, like caring. I can have a conversation with them. I can give up information. A lot of times I just give information where doctors are, where they can go, how to solve a problem. A lot of times people have complicated problems, and I'll solve it for them in 10 minutes. This is where you go, this is what you need to get, and this is who you need to speak with, and then your problem is solved. Then they come back and say, that worked. Of course it did. You spoke to me. I know the broken system, and I know tricks to get through it. That's it. I know a lot of ways to get through it. I've got people apartments, I've got people their medications, I've got people doctors. I've been able to work out many different tactics to be able to help other people. But I no longer give up the money I need. I no longer give up the home I need. I no longer give up the food I need. I no longer give up anything I need since I moved to New Hampshire. For the last 7 years or so, I've been helping other people, but I've been making sure my needs come first. My health has to come first. My apartment comes second. My job comes third, that goes with the apartment, and so on and so on. And that's how I basically do things. But I'm going to basically get hurt because somebody else made a decision a long time ago and continued to make that decision. And right now, none of them want to take responsibility for their actions or even have a conversation about it. They want me to go find a hole to die in. And that's probably exactly what they're going to get. They're going to get me dying someplace away from them. They're going to get exactly what they wished for. They wished to, go on a beach someplace, get drunk, go see their neighbors, go hang out with other people, have more children in the house. Meanwhile, their own son, who you literally let your second wife do horrible things to, dies from your actions. These aren't choices I made. What's killing me is not the choices I made. Eventually, if I fix this neurological disorder, eventually maybe my liver fails, but right now my liver's fine. That would be from choices I made. But that will take another 15 to 20 years. My hepatitis, that's eventually going to catch up with me. It's not at critical level or anything right now. It's a light soreness once in a while. The other problem, I even thought that maybe this had something to do with my hepatitis, but it's not. I mean the soreness, not the shakes. The shakes have been happening for 25 years, the seizures 25 years. I mean the soreness in my body. I thought that had something to do with the hepatitis, but then I realized that no, it's from the injuries. When I have a seizure and I get hurt, of course my leg and head's going to hurt. Of course my body's going to hurt exactly where I got injured. But anyways, if my prostate gets any larger and I have problems peeing and I need to put a catheter in, that's probably from my cough medicine abuse. I realize that, and that's something I'll have to handle, but at least it's caused by me, so I can get proper treatment from a doctor. I've documented these things. I've already admitted it as soon as I did it, so it's not hard to get treatment for these issues. I've already admitted to my hepatitis. I've already got it looked into. I already have it documented. I already have my cough medicine abuse documented. I've already looked into it. I've already, solved it about, let me see, 15 years ago I solved that issue, or maybe 12 to 15 years ago I solved that issue. I've only taken small amounts of cough medicine since then, exactly as the back of the package prescribes. And the only reason why I take it is if I'm not feeling good, if I actually feel sick. I got diarrhea, I got the flu, I got a stomach bug, or sometimes if my seizure activity used to be really good, I would take just 2. But that was like 10 years ago. I don't touch the shit now because of my prostate issues. But if anything goes wrong, I can get proper medical care. But now, how about my seizures and my nervous system issue that's been going on for 25 years? Well, I didn't do that. That happened at age 5 to 7 in Westford. And it has not been documented like my hepatitis has been documented. My prostate and my cough medicine abuse as a child was documented, so I can get treatment because those are documented and there's records to them. But is there any documentation of this neurological disorder, of the numbness of my body, the fact I can't move my body, the fact that I have seizures? Is any of that documented? Absolutely not. My mother would not take responsibility for her actions. And as a child, she already knew I was speaking up. When the doctors asked me questions, I brought that up over and over and over. So she knew if she actually tried to get me treatment for that, of course I'm going to tell them, oh, it started at age 5 to 7. My mother gave me a handful of pills. I lost my vision. I couldn't walk. I tried to ask for help, but I lost my speech. Like I said, my vision was awful. I crawled to a pile of newspapers. My breathing slowed down and I passed out. Then I woke up shaky and never the same. Of course she doesn't want me going into that with the doctors and spending hours talking about that and getting that diagnosed. She wanted that stopped right away. As soon as I made any statement about that, it's an allergy, shut up about that. She did not want to have a conversation about what happened and what was really wrong with me. Absolutely not. Because it might lead to her being embarrassed or having to take responsibility for what happened that night. And that's my real problem. And yeah, it's gonna get me. It's already got me. It's already done permanent damage to me. It's already done damage that cannot be, it's irreversible. The damage that's already been done to me is irreversible. And all I'm asking for is people to work on my health that have responsibility in this. And the only person left is my father. My father and mother are the ones responsible for doing this to me, and one of them is still alive. But they don't want to take responsibility for their wives' actions or their own actions. They rather just put it on me and let me die in a hole someplace. So that's going to be coming this year. Stay tuned. It's not going to be fun. I'll be trying to post hospital paperwork. I'll be posting information going forward about what's going on. And keep in mind, I'm working full time right now. I got an apartment right now. I take care of somebody right now. Everything is totally fine. I'm seeking medical care. I have many doctors working on me. I have an ID. I have insurance. All that is about to be taken away from me because of somebody else's choices. Because I keep on getting hurt. Because I keep on getting seizures. And every time I lose another piece of my body or myself that I'll never get back.